Hey, I have a dilemma involving my stepbrother Justin, and I could really do with your help. My parents divorced when I was little, and my mom had a new man who has two teenage sons, Justin and Luca. Justin and I were never very close at first, and we rarely spoke to each other. I kind of felt like he made zero effort with me, and he acted like I was invisible. Thankfully, I only had to put up with him for half of the week, as he and Luca lived with their mom the other half of the week. And it was only during our parents' wedding that things between Justin and I changed. My mother and her partner were getting married in Italy, so we went there for a long weekend. Justin didn't do his usual ignoring me act. Instead, he just made fun of me. He laughed at me when he saw me in my new striped bikini and said I looked like an angry bee, and he also had my phone and watched on as I spent an hour in panic as I searched for it. I guess this was brother and sister stuff. Wasn't used to having brothers, as I had two little sisters. A few days into the trip, we were drinking with the other guests on the terrace area. It was so warm and the atmosphere was great. Everyone was in a good mood, even Justin. I'm 15, so I didn't drink loads, but Mom said I could have a few glasses of wine. I was getting on well with Justin and Luca. Then, when Luca went to the bathroom, Justin leaned in close to me and whispered in my ear, "Lisa, you look really pretty tonight." I didn't say anything at first, as I thought he was winding me up, when I was sure that he actually meant it. I muttered out, "Thanks." I'd probably turned as red as a lobster. I sucked at accepting compliments. I was staying in an apartment with the boys, but I had my own pull-out bed in the living room. Luca walked off ahead, but Justin lingered back and walked alongside me. He brushed his fingers past mine. Then he smiled at me. I found myself smiling back at him. I'd never seen the nice side of Justin before, and I had to admit that I liked it. The day of the wedding arrived. It was a great day, and my mom looked so beautiful and happy in the evening. There was a massive party. Everyone except my little sisters, of course, had a little too much alcohol. So lots of people were a little drunk. I was sitting down and sipping on my wine when Justin yanked on my arm and insisted that I dance with him. Some catchy pop tune was playing, so I thought it'd be fun to dance together. We were both jumping about, and it was laughs when the first song finished up and some romantic ballad came on. I blushed and was about to walk back to my seat, but Justin grabbed my arm and pulled me in closer to him. The alcohol made me more confident than normal, so I looped my arms around his neck and he placed his hands on my waist and we danced together. When the song finished, we both gave awkward laughs and then walked off in different directions. The party finished, so Justin and I walked back to our room. Luca wasn't us. He was 18, so he got into town to carry on the party. We were laughing and joking with each other as we staggered back to the room. Then I looked into my bag and realized that my phone was missing. I sat down on the ground and tipped out my bag. Justin made some joke about girls' bags being like a TARDIS. Then he picked up my phone off the floor. I was so happy that he'd found my phone that I wrapped my arms around him and thanked him. As I pulled back, he coughed to clear his throat. "Lisa," say he stopped talking. "What's up?" I asked him. "Nothing." He shook his head. I stuffed everything back into my bag and then attempted to walk straight. Justin put his arm around me and steered me in the right direction back in the apartment. I quickly brushed my teeth and changed into my pajamas. When I was done, I saw Justin lying on my bed, so I told him to go to his bed. He refused to move. So I just shrugged and went to his bed to sleep there. Suddenly, I heard and grumbled that he wanted to sleep in his bed. I got up to go back to my bed, but he pulled me back down. Then he laid down next to me. "Stay and we can play truth or dare." He said fine. I choose truth. He asked me how many boys I'd kissed, and I told him the truth too. He was silent for a minute or so, and I thought he'd fallen asleep. But then he said truth. I asked him if he liked any girls. I only asked him this because I was too tired and tipsy to think up anything else. "There's this one girl," he muttered, "but I don't think she's ever noticed me much. Until now, maybe." Then he touched my hand. I didn't know how to react to this. Was he winding me up again, or was he being serious? I told him I was tired and said I'd go back to my bed, but he told me to stay with him. I don't know why, but instead of getting up, I just did what he said and laid next to him. He kept on fidgeting, then he put his arm around me, and then a few seconds later, he pulled it back. Then he brought it back again and spooned me, then out of nowhere, he put his hands between my legs. Well, I thought that was enough, and I pulled his hands away and quickly jumped out of bed. "Justin, come on, you're my stepbrother." I said I know, but he got up then, gave me a kiss on my cheek, and said I loved you. I didn't know what to say, so I just told him to go to sleep. He asked me not to mention what had happened the next day. I said nothing, then went back to my bed that night. I couldn't stop thinking about him and what had happened the next morning. I woke up with the worst headache ever as I was searching through my bag for headache tablets. Justin walked into the living room and barely acknowledged me later that day. He came up to me, and before I could stop myself, I asked him, "Do you remember anything about what happened last night?" "Right." He said he'd been drunk and couldn't remember much about the evening. This happened a month ago, and ever since then, I can't stop thinking about Justin when he's over at my house. I try my best to avoid him, and I feel like he's trying to avoid me too. On a few occasions, I've caught him looking at me when he thought I wasn't looking. I haven't talked about this with anyone, but I keep thinking something. What if I hadn't stopped him that night? What if, since that night, I also keep dreaming about him? I'm sad when I wake up and realize it isn't real. Do I have a crush on my stepbrother? Am I crazy? Please help me, as I don't know what I should do.